How you think is more important than what you do. And doing something without thinking is dangerous.
Yeah.
And thinking without doing is a waste of time. It's 95% of the opportunities for you are in front of your own face right now. Is never give up on a dream. The dream is not the problem. The strategy is the problem.
Todd, my man.
Hey.
Thank you
good
so
to see
much
you, Simon.
for coming on, and thank you for what can you say, coming out to Australia. What's been the experience so far?
Well, first of all, I love this country. I've got great history here. I helped one of the greatest entrepreneurs ever in this country start a mortgage company in the late 90s, and it's always fun to come back to Australia and just pour into the people and hang out with the people. I find their spirit and their attitude and their kind of commitment to wanting to be their best really attractive.
Yeah.
And I love the country.
Yeah.
I love the country.
That's great.
Yeah.
I came from Denmark and over here at 22,
know,
so
right?
it's I never thought I would leave, but then life circumstances happen, and then you're on to the next journey.
It's a very good point. I don't know that we ever know what the next journey is.
Yeah.
Except for the certainty that if we don't pursue something, the journey is not going to be as beautiful. And I like to think that we give people hope, give them power.
Yeah.
You identify with that word, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And really just help them hone in on, like, you can be, have, and do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
There's no restrictions on how successful you can be. There's no restrictions on what you can achieve in life. There's, it's all this. It's all It's all the self-limiting beliefs that people have aggregated over their life for whatever reason, and they can't get away from that negativity. And you know as well as I do that how you think is more important than what you do.
Yeah.
And doing something without thinking is dangerous.
Yeah.
And thinking without doing is a waste of time.
Yeah.
So let's think and let's do and let's spin up life together. And the funny thing, Simon, is that as people move towards this next thing, whatever it is, and they had maybe doubt or they had fear or they had all of that, and let's face it, the bigger the goals, the hairier the internal conversations can be. But as soon as they accomplish that next thing, then their belief comes up. It's called the belief window. And I was talking to my son, and I told my son, I said, you do believe that people will buy your art, right? And he said, Dad, how is it possible to believe that people will buy my art when nobody's bought my art?
Yeah.
And I said, all you need to do is sell one piece and get $1, and you're going to realize that somebody would buy your art.
Now.
And here he is now selling $3,000 custom pieces of art. And
it's amazing.
We were talking the other day, and he goes, Dad, I believe it. I believe it because it's happening, you know. But I think that whole idea of self-limiting beliefs and doubt can be replaced by purpose and confidence and even preparation. So I'm excited to see where our conversation goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you can give for the audience like just a 30-second backstory around like what brought you to here today, like what was the challenge you went through? What's really the backstory of where you came from to today?
Yeah. I think the backstory is that I decided early in my career to be a commission sales professional and ran into all kinds of resistance and had some pretty big dreams, didn't have very much money, only had about 90 days to make $1, otherwise I would have to figure out how to use a credit card to stay alive. And I was out of university, and I chose a business of helping people finance real estate, and I was doing it very, very wrong, very, very at scale, like failing miserably. And I was smart enough to realize, and this is a lesson for everybody, when things aren't going right, take a breath, slow down, stop. So I went to the beach one day for 3 hours, and I looked at the ocean, and kind of my whole world got recentered that everything was going to be okay. And I got this idea in a moment of disconnecting from the chaos and the mayhem. I got this idea that, hey, I had a friend that his father owned a real estate office. Why don't I just go see what happens when mortgage professionals are making calls? And I went to that office, and 3 hours later, a guy walks through the front door. You could tell he was successful. He was dressed to the nines, had a really beautiful spirit, and came in, had an appointment with somebody, spent an hour with that person behind closed doors, came out, they shook hands, and he said, I look forward to a long and mutually profitable partnership.
Yeah.
I followed him into the parking lot, and I said, I don't know you, and you don't know me, but this is my 92nd day in selling, and whatever you did in there, I want to learn how.
Yeah.
And he, as I think is always the case, when you are mentored, you feel a desire to mentor back. And so he mentored me, and that one moment in time changed everything, because he told me the 3 things I needed to do to build a successful business. And here I am, just shy of 40 years later, having sold that business, having written 22 books, having audiences all over the world. And I mean, who would not be inspired by, like, I started off helping somebody buy a home, and here I get to come to Melbourne, I get to come to Australia, I get to hang out here for 28 days and pour into people.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's just like, it's a gift. It's beautiful. But the story is that all success is hard until it's easy. And then as soon as it gets easy, the next thing you do is going to be hard.
Exactly. So it's always
the only way to
gonna
have
be.
easy is not do anything. And then that even creates hardship.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody yesterday, they go, how important is taking risks? And I go, taking risks is really important. And they go, why? And I go, because if you don't take risks, you make risks. And she goes, what? I go, no, risk, if you're not a risk taker, and I'm not saying just throw caution to the wind and see what happens. Be purposeful about it. But when you don't take risks to grow, you create risk by not growing.
Staying the same or going backwards. Yeah.
Complacency and going the wrong way. So
yeah.
It's been a beautiful journey, and so I just landing here and being in Australia, and
it's amazing.
You know, having 70 people here today just to pour into with you and a couple other speakers.
It's beautiful.
It's my dream job. And
Yeah.
It's not even a job. I tell this whole audience I haven't worked a day in my life since that guy taught me how to win.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, and I want to talk with you about sales in general, because I think, you know, obviously we spoke to mortgage brokers today, so they're in sales, so they understand like the value they create, they're compensated from that. It's not really time like most people are associating with money today. What did selling as a career path teach you about freedom or opportunities or I'm in control? Because I think most people they're not in control. They don't feel like they're in control, and I think that's the hard one.
Yeah, so let me see if I can just set this up the right way. The first big lesson is, even though we use selling as a genre, the way to sell is not to sell anything. The way to sell is to find out what people's challenges are and then solve those challenges. And if you can solve those challenges, whatever the product is, then you in fact are selling, right? So people don't like to be sold to. They don't like pitches. They don't like, knowing that somebody smells like commission breath.
Why do you feel like people don't like to be pitched? Because it's true. Do you think it's a conditioning thing of television, commercials? It's just...
I think the commercials are less intrusive from a pitch standpoint than a live person doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So when I think about selling, I think about the key to selling is not selling, it's solving. The key to solving is finding out what people need, want, and why that's important to them. And then whatever it is that you have, show them how by having that, they get what they want. That's solving, right? And when you're in the solutions business and not the selling business, it's a lot easier. It takes the pressure off of you.
Yeah.
Because until you, Simon, tell me what's important to you about your life and where you want to be in the next 30 days to 90 days to 3 years, I can't talk about anything I do.
Yeah.
I have 22 books. I could not say, hey, you need to read this book. It may be important for you to read this book, but if you haven't told me that creating a world-class customer experience is super important to you for your business, and I recommend then a book that helps with that, I'm off kilter. I'm off pace. You could be all about wanting something on creating a bulletproof customer experience, and I could be talking to you about a book on goal setting.
Yeah.
And I would have missed.
Yeah.
Even though the book on goal setting is as good as the book on customer service.
Yeah.
So it's really beautiful when you understand something, and that is to ask a question, be quiet, let as much come out as can come out in that dialogue, listen actively, and what active listening means, listen with the eye on what action could I provide or take to help them get what they, what I listened to, what they looked at. And when you understand that, then you never sell a day in your life.
Yeah.
And I think that's why selling has a stigma. The used car salesperson, right?
Yeah.
It's just, you kind of feel it. And I think professional selling is interesting, because I remember speaking 4 years ago here for a big conference, and I did a search on what are the top 5 disrespected professions in Australia.
Sales is that, yeah.
And I got attorney, I got real estate agent, I got lender, I got auto sales, and I forget the 5th one, but it was really interesting because you look at a bunch of real estate agents and lenders, and You go, you guys are in the top 5 of the most disrespected industries.
Yeah.
So you can be different by gaining respect
Yeah.
instead of becoming part of a bigger community that doesn't have respect. And let's face it,
Yeah.
the people that are in any one of those genres that have created this collective disrespect are probably not the biggest percentage of that genre. It's just what stands out. So somebody who doesn't know how to sell, or who makes a promise that they can't hold to or commit to, they earn disrespect because they've created distrust by overpromising and underdelivering, or they have different motives.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I
So
think people, they look at business like that. I was watching Mark Cuban in a good interview. So he bought the what's it called, the
Dallas Mavericks.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he was talking about like how different it was to run the businesses he ran versus the sports team, where he said nobody really cheers on the billion-dollar business, the Google, the
Yeah.
Facebook. They don't.
Yeah.
Even though they're like making progress, they're creating different things. But football, it's like in everyone's heart. So I think it's just business in general. It's kind of like business is like a sports team, athletes, but at the same time, very different in people's hearts. So I think it's just.
It's interesting. Somebody said to me once, guy's name was Dr. Dennis Waitley. He wrote a book 40 years ago called Seeds of Greatness. A really great book, sidebar. But he said that the anytime something gets over $10,000 as a price tag, okay, you need to be able to create more trust to establish that connection, to have somebody be willing to pay you that. And so when you look at a sports franchise, obviously you have greatness, you have intensity, you have the fan experience, you have all these things, but there really isn't a difference between a sports franchise and a business franchise if you understand one thing: A players in every position. And the biggest mistake businesses make is they let people join the team that aren't A players. Now, some of them may be rookies, sports analogy, some of them may be in the sub-league before they get into the big leagues, but at least they have the talent to be in the population of people that might make it through the 2 or 3 leagues to the top league. You come out of college and you get drafted in baseball, you're not likely to be on the field for a major league team your first year, but you're still that kind of quality. Businesses need to think that way. When Netflix was in trouble in their infancy in the first 10 years, they made a big decision that the problem with the company is we have people that are in positions that they're not qualified to be in.
Yeah.
And so when businesses understand A players in every position, then you understand greatness. And that's what Mark Cuban understood, is even though he started with broadcast.com, I know his partner, that Tim Sanders, who was part of the Yahoo buyout of broadcast.com. And Tim was the chief solutions officer for Yahoo, not the chief sales officer, the chief solutions officer. And he did a speech at Sales Mastery one year, same thing you're going to be at. And he said, how to move from vendor to partner and be the obvious choice. That was the title of his speech. And when you understand moving from vendor to partner, vendors are transaction, partners are relationship.
Yeah.
That's straightforward.
And that's something you're really good at. I remember when we read in Vegas, and I was talking about like how did you actually go about building what you're doing, and you're talking about fuel. One thing that stood out was that one to many.
Yeah.
Like that one relationship that can change everything. And I think it's relatable to even people that are starting out, people that don't have a business. I think it's, what's that one opportunity, the one event, the one mentor, the one connection that's going to change everything. So how do you go about building these it sounds so simple, but generous relationship and generous connections? You and I, we only met each other 2 times in real life.
Yeah.
And I feel like brothers, like
Right.
straight away.
Well, the first meeting was obviously a connected meeting from Carrie. I wouldn't know you if I didn't know Carrie. And so that whole setup, made that like we didn't have to get through any of the awkward introductions because I already knew the influence you had and the impact you had in Carrie's life. And then, if you recall, we spent just shy of 2 hours talking about things that were really important to you and less important about me. But then I would still bring analogy back about what I'm doing that I was recommending to you as you build your global brand. as you know, as we're building a global brand. And I think people need to understand. I'll go back to my first days as a mortgage broker. So the guy told me, he said, next time you sit down with a borrower, ask them an additional question. Tell me about your employment, your role, and what you like most about it. And it was very interesting because if you tell me about your employment, your role, and what you like best about it, I know why you like your role, and I know why you like this piece of the job.
Yeah.
But the golden goose, so to speak, was what is your job and how many people do you influence? So if I get a senior vice president of sales, and let's say they've got 300 people, then that one relationship can open the door to all 300 people. And most people misalign or don't even think about that. Like, I'll just paint this example. It's just raw and real. You know me, I know you. You have a global business, a global brand, and I want to put you on our Fuel platform, and that Fuel platform can introduce you to, I'll just say right now, if nothing else happened, 10 million people.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I know you, I trust you, you know me, you trust me, and I can be a gateway for you. And I think what I'd like to say to people is all it takes is one gateway.
Yeah.
All it takes is one person that knows the people you need to know. And so the value in never letting a relational moment slip by is huge.
Yeah.
And then if I trust you and I know that what you do is beneficial to the people I serve, and I can't do
win-win,
what
yeah.
you do, or at least I've chosen not to,
Yeah.
then why wouldn't we go like one plus one?
Cross-collaborate, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think I'd just remind everybody, all it takes is one.
Yeah.
And then my friend wrote a book called The Power of Who, and I love the subtitle. The subtitle was You Already Know Everybody You Need to Know. And there's the hidden gem to your question. You already
Yeah,
know.
that's
Right
what
now,
that
if you
right.
just stopped and got out a pad of paper and wrote down everybody you knew that had influence,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised at how much business there is there potentially that you have not even thought about, even though you know the person
right
who's
there.
on your list.
Yeah. How did you, so more like strategically, how did you actually tap into that when you were coming up? Because I think a lot of people in business, like we're going for new, we're going to go out, we're going to prospect, but how did you strategically think differently about building your network and building your business opportunities with that mindset?
So I did this yesterday for somebody, and they asked me about the most important lesson I had learned, and I got out a pad of paper, and I drew a circle in the middle of the pad of paper, and then I drew 8 lines coming out of that circle, and then I drew circles at the end of every one of those lines. And I said, all you have to do is put who you know in the middle of this, and ask them who they know, and fill out the other 8. And then you're off to the races. Now you call the 8, and there's no fear. There's no like, hey Joe, I'm calling you because Simon Thompson thought that we should get to know each other. I've got something I'm doing that's very exciting, and he thinks you and your team would benefit by it. Do you have a chance to get together, have a coffee, and let's talk about it? We right now today, as you and I are recording this, we've had 17 face-to-face meetings in 7 days in Australia. And 100% of the people I've met with, I did not know when I landed 7 days ago.
And the introduction was through Carrie.
So Carrie knew the people that knew the people.
Yeah.
And, you know, Carrie came to me because I had one client in Australia, Momentum Media, that asked me to speak for the Better Business Summit. So you can imagine that if I'm at the Better Business Summit and there's 1,000 brokers in the room, then Momentum Media would be my gateway to meeting 1,000 brokers. It just so happens that the broker I met at that moment in time was Carrie.
Yeah.
And his story is, in and of itself, a whole different episode, or 100. But if you look back, he and I met 8 years ago, and today every single person we've met here is because of him. Not because of me looking people up or trying to figure out on LinkedIn who should I call when I land in Australia. I don't have time for that. I want a 100% success rate meeting with people. It may not be that there's a 100% success rate with doing something with them, but at least it's
You just
a
want to be
meeting.
in front of
I cannot
people.
tell you right now in any more important way that I sit down in these meetings with C-suite people whom I have never met. And we're off to the races immediately.
Why do you think that?
Because Kerry says Todd's a good guy and you're not going to believe what they're doing. And this is a chance for you to do something very special before your competition does it. And I mean, to sit down with a person who controls 400,000 points of contact.
Yeah, that's
and
huge.
I did not know this guy. His name's Anthony. That's as far
Yeah,
as
you could never meet him, like, you know what I mean, on the street.
It'd take me the rest of my life.
Yeah.
To try to reach 400,000 people.
Yeah.
One by one by one.
Yeah. It's very powerful. Like, I'm learning a lot about that from you. You know, so where's the win-win kind of thing? Because obviously, someone like Kerry and you're doing stuff together. Kerry loves you, trusts you, happy to do that. How do you go about that in the beginning phase with people? So you want real relationships that can branch out to gatekeepers and open doors. How do you go about that? What's in it for you, in it for me kind of thing?
I don't ever think what's in it for me.
No. So you just automatically switch that off?
I always think what's in it for you.
Yeah.
What's in it for you. If I take the spotlight off of me and I forget that I want anything from you.
Yeah. Just lead with that all the time.
Whether we do something or not is immaterial to the fact that we get to have a beautiful conversation together.
Yeah.
And if that materializes into me receiving,
Yeah.
then great.
Yeah.
But if it materializes into us having a relationship that might at some point in the future be about receiving, I'll give you an example. I'm referred when I started the training company. So I'd done brokering for 11 years. I sold that practice to my team. And I decided that not unlike here with Mortgage Finance Association of Australia or Financial Brokerage Association of Australia, any one of these, there's a industry service like that in America. It's called the Mortgage Bankers Association. So since I grew up in mortgage, that was my target list. And I literally started at A, and my goal was to get all the way to Z. And just send out packages, follow up on those packages, see if I could be of service and plant those seeds and so on and so forth. About 7 or 8 months in, I got a hold of somebody at a pretty large bank, and she told me in the first 5 minutes, she goes, "Hey, I don't want to waste your time. We do not engage outside vendors for our sales training. So while I appreciate the call, there's just nothing we can do together right now." To which I said, "I appreciate that. Would you be opposed to me sending you information for your sales team that they might find valuable?" And she goes, "What are you talking about?" I go, "Well, no. I mean, like, you have 500 salespeople. Can I send you 500 CDs and 500 lesson plans for you to distribute to your sales? You don't have to pay me for them.
Yeah.
You don't even have to hire me.
Yeah.
You could throw them away.
Yeah.
But can I send them to you?" And she goes, "If you want to do that, that's fine." I did this for 3.5 years, Simon. Big bank,
Just
multi-billion
tasters
bank.
out there, throwing it out there.
500 CDs, 500 lesson plans, different lesson every 3 months. Send it out, send it out, send it out. 3.5 years go by, and I get a phone call one day, and it's Ginger, who's the gal that said we don't hire vendors to do our sales training. And I get on the phone with her, and she says, "Today's your lucky day." And I go, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Mickey retired."
Looking for a new
And I go,
vendor.
"Who's Mickey?" And I knew, but she goes, "Well, remember, Mickey's the guy that runs training. He's the guy that set the policy that we can't vendor base our training. He retired." And I go, "That's awesome." And she goes, "Guess what? I got his job."
And she likes you.
And she likes me because I've added value for 3.5 years.
And you just kept sending every 3 months or every year.
Yeah, but watch what happened. In 24 years, I made $2.8 million from one contact that hired me after 3.5 years because I took my eye off of getting anything, and I put it squarely on helping you add value to your team, immaterial of whether you ever hire me or not. And you think about the trust, 36, 40, what is that, 42 months later.
Yeah.
that I haven't asked for anything.
Yeah.
And I just kept loading you up with value. So then the loyalty piece comes into play. So now that I've done that, and now that she's in charge of training at the bank, and she was for another 8 years, and then she went to another bank and then another bank, and she just kept pulling me to the next bank, next bank. That's the kind of networking we're talking about here. Networking only works if it's relationship based. It's a very wasteful investment of time to go to networking groups and cold things like that. It's just very rare that it materializes into anything.
Yeah.
But if I know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, that's all I need.
Is that how you're trying, like for example, a new room of people there? Is that how you're trying to lead with value? It's like, I might know someone that can help you X, Y,
Well, I
and Z.
already do. So there's 2 people here today from one of Australia's top 4 banks that I've already talked about, even though I wasn't here today to talk to them about anything. The fact that they sponsored this room and put it together, I've already talked to them about setting up a meeting next week to talk about my new company. But it wasn't like I was
Powerful,
distrusted or anything.
Yeah.
They were right here. They saw what I did.
Yeah.
And then I said, how'd you feel it went? And they go, it was brilliant, absolutely beautiful. And I said, okay, there's something we could do for you guys. It'd be very special. And do you have time next week to just jump on a Zoom? Let me show you. It's that simple.
It's so powerful. Yeah.
And people, I think, make it, Simon, I think they make business development way too hard.
Yeah.
Way too hard.
And what do you think the mistakes are there? Because I'm obviously in a different generation today, but we are distant online Zoom meetings.
I don't think there's any difference. I think that businesses that make business development hard. I just talked to a senior executive here that runs an aggregator, and he said, I am so embarrassed. We are running our business completely the wrong way. We're so transactionally focused. He's got hundreds of brokers. And he goes, all we're doing is measuring how many loans we get a day. We should be measuring how many relationships do we deepen a day and how many relationships are new today. And that's all we have to do. And he walks out of here, the guy's in his probably late 50s and excited. He's, first of all, the fact that somebody in their late 50s is still coming to training, it's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
You have to be a lifelong learner to get anywhere in life. And the world is changing so fast that if you're not a lifelong learner, you're going to be left behind. But to have him come here in a moment, he realized we're screwing it up.
Yeah.
And we're running $1 billion firm and we're screwing it up.
But it's interesting to see. But like I'm learning a lot from that as well, because when you're new in business, fairly new, like you like it's about growing, it's about getting out there. But I remember a good friend of mine in LA. So he's Persian background, grew up in London, traveled to Australia, my age. And I met him after a 10X Growth Conference event.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he literally just moved to LA and got his real estate license. And I met him at the event, connected with him, and then we met up for lunch in LA, and he took me out and he just treated me like his best friend, and we just met for like 2 minutes. And I remember he said to me, his dad told him that, he said, you gotta make a friend before you ever need anything from it. And this guy today is, I think, is top 3 broker in LA, selling, all the big houses right now. And he just started in real estate when I met him in 2020. And you can see why he's successful is the core, the essence of that is that.
Well, you make a friend before you need a friend. And that's the key to, quote, selling.
Yeah.
Is not that I want to be your BFF and then start talking about business, but if you really understand the transfer of trust, and you really understand that the toughest and most polarizing piece of any call on anybody, besides the fact you're making a call on somebody, you're actually having a conversation with somebody. That's a mindset shift.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, this is not about me. This is about you. And when I say to a real estate agent, for example, as a broker, unlike most lenders who probably are going to ask you to give them borrower referrals so they can do loans, I would like to have you think of me differently. I'd like you to think of me as your success partner. I want to help you be as successful as you choose to be in real estate. I can't do that without knowing what's important about success to you. So if we could just start there, help me understand as a real estate professional what's important about success to you. And whatever they say, I'm going to deepen the conversation, and maybe they say it's money, and I'll come along and say, well, help me understand what's important about money to you, and then maybe we go a little bit further, and they said, well, I want to really create some freedom, some financial freedom. So, what's important about financial freedom to you? And then let's say that, at the end of the day, I'd like to just wake up every day and have peace of mind. And I go, so as a real estate agent, it sounds like what's most important to you is having peace of mind.
Yeah.
And they go, yeah. So then I would just go, so if I can help you achieve peace of mind more regularly, more consistently, and more rapidly, would we have a basis for exploring a business relationship? And 100% of the time, if I'm
Like,
having when can we start?
Yeah.
And now I'm in the driver's seat because I know what's important to them, and I know that as soon as I bring up peace of mind, anytime I bring up peace of mind, anytime in the relationship, 5 years from now, I can go, remember when we first met in 2025, we were talking about peace of mind? How are you feeling today? Man, I got so much more of it. Even though I've had this happen, I've made so much more money because of my partnership with you.
Yeah.
So then it's that, and I don't think people understand that loyalty is earned. It cannot be demanded.
Yeah.
You can't expect loyalty until you give loyalty.
Yeah.
And that's why I said it, I even said it today, that if you want your clients for life, you have to talk to them during their life. And everybody laughed. And you know why they laugh, Simon?
Because they don't do it.
Because they're guilty of not doing it,
Yeah.
right? And they kind of chuckled. And then the other thought behind that is, like, if you're not in touch, you're out of touch. And in mortgage brokering and real estate and almost any business, if you're not in touch, they could find a solution elsewhere.
Yeah.
But if you're in touch, you're top of mind. If you're top of mind, then you're always going to get the call. Like I would say to borrowers that I help move into a home, I would say, for the rest of your life, before you list this house, buy another house, invest in real estate, period, talk to me first.
Yeah.
Because this is just the start of a 30-year relationship. You plant that kind of seed, people go, what?
Yeah. And then you just nurture them throughout the year. Like the other thing for you, like, do you think it's a difference in terms of what you actually do? Because you guys, you're in this, this is a big decision. It's something that happens maybe 1, 2, or 3 times in their lifetime, loaning and stuff there. So how do you go about keeping track on all that, or deciding what's worth it? Because if you're selling a $2 bottle to a customer and that's your business, versus selling a house, value for time, like, is it worth it? Like, what do you go about? Like, how do you go about thinking about that? You can't contact every single customer you had.
Well, you can if you like. So we did a survey 2 years ago in the U.S. and 325,000 mortgage brokers, and we asked them a series of questions. And one of the questions that we asked was, do you have a client concierge that contacts every one of your borrowers at least 4 times a year, the 4th being an annual review to make sure you're in touch and always planting the seed for a relationship? And only 3% of the 324,000 surveyed said yes. So 97% haven't gotten to the mindset yet that all I need, I've got one broker right now that has 5 client concierges. He's got 3,000 people in his database.
Customer success, someone that just
so you're gonna do 90-day check-ins. You're gonna do an annual financial review. You're gonna do an asset review, and in that financial review, you're gonna do a dreams and goals review.
Yeah.
So how do you stay in touch? You don't use marketing automation, because marketing automation today, especially email marketing, is absolutely a disaster in terms of what it's doing. It's creating more polarity than ever. The personal phone call, but you can't make all the phone calls.
Yeah.
So then you have people on your team, just like any great business that's trying to create an enduring, loyal customer journey. It is that personal touch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just, I don't know, a year away from having 10,000 birthdays in my phone. And people go, well, how do you get in touch with them? And I go, well, if there's 22 people on a day, I do a video and I don't make it to their name. I just send them, I do one video and I send it to 22 people.
What do you do? How do you actually do it? Because I'm
my
very
iPhone.
bad with my, so you just birthday, and then
it just pops up like it's 21 birthdays.
Calendar, it comes up today,
Yeah, and you just put them in there, because it's like right now I could ask you what your birthday is. I don't have my phone with me.
Yeah.
But I ask you your birthday and I could put it in, and I could alarm it for once a year, make it recur for the next 20 years. And a year
you do it one time and
oh my God.
It's such a simple thing.
It's such a simple thing. And that in the world in which we live right now, that doesn't cost very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could do one video and send out 30 attachments in 10 minutes,
Yeah.
8 minutes maybe.
Yeah.
And it makes all the
Like,
difference.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah,
I think
that's a huge one.
I think people need to understand that this is not some gimmick.
It's just being back
How
to
do I
basic,
buy
yeah.
22 cars from the same car salesperson?
Yeah.
Every single year they send me a picture of what my model is going to look like in 3 years from Germany.
Painting the future.
That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
Saying, hope you're enjoying your car. This is what it's going to look like in 2028. And I'm just sitting there going, I can't wait to turn this thing in and, you know, and get it. But just, it's like little things like that. If I were to ask you, like, you know, what's one of the most important things you enjoy doing, you know, off of and outside of your regular job, and you say golf, then I'm going to tag you golf, and anytime I come across anything golf, I can run a filter and just say golf and attach it to everybody, golf, and came across this today, thought as a golfer you would enjoy this.
So
Boom.
smart.
And there's,
It's so
you know, there
smart.
might be 10 categories or 20 categories. CRM, Customer Relationship Manager, people don't understand CRM stands for something.
Yeah.
It's not some fancy SaaS
No.
piece of software. It's like Customer Relationship Manager.
Yeah.
Client Relationship Manager. Relationship. Client. Wow.
Yeah. But it takes you the experience you had, like the successes that, like, wow, that person led to that, like, to really, like, because you embody it fully.
Well, yeah, but because I experienced it, but I didn't
Exactly.
have it when I first started out. So so I talked today about the being, you know, doing a loan for a pilot and then getting referred to a pilot and then getting referred to the California Airline Pilots Association. I had another guy that was a doctor, and I reminded him that I want my team and I spend 90% of our time making sure this loan goes perfectly. And the only way we can afford to do that is at settlement, you're thrilled, and you will go out of your way to find us more customers to serve. And so I did a loan for this guy, and 2 weeks after settlement, he was playing golf with a friend of his who's the president of a community bank in my city. And they were having this conversation, and this friend said, hey, how did your home loan experience go? And my client said, it was absolutely off the grid. It was amazing. We had no stress whatsoever. We closed on time. We got approved, you know, 2 weeks before settlement. It was absolutely spotless. And he goes, you know, at the bank, we don't do real estate loans. Maybe I should talk to Todd. So I called the president of a bank because my doctor buddy was best friends with him. And he says, you know, we should create a strategic partnership. We have 3,500 depositors at the bank, and we don't do real estate loans. So then I became the lender for the bank.
Yeah.
And we did 482 loans in just shy of 8 years.
It's insane.
And people need to realize the world is a very big place, and any city you live in is a very big place. And for most people, you don't need 1 million referrals to make $1 million.
No.
You need like 10 or 15 or 20, and you just need to work those
Nurture
referrals
those, yeah.
and add value and make sure it's never about business. It's first about connection, and then if there's any business, like out of the 33 years I've been calling somebody here to wish them a happy birthday, I've probably made $4 million in referrals.
Do you ever stop on your contacts?
No. Why?
No, but
If I-
it's like, let's say, like that lady is a good example of the 3 years later.
She retired eventually, so then
Yeah.
that stopped. Yeah,
Yeah.
but see, when I tell people put all your eggs in one basket and then watch the basket, because it's very foreign to think that putting all your eggs in one basket is a smart business strategy.
Yeah.
But if you really take care of 10 people really, really well, that basket is going to flourish, as opposed to you having 10 people and not taking care of them. And the other thing that, and so that I learned that long after he died, but Andrew Carnegie, who was one of the first steel magnates in the U.S., you know, he'd be worth today $100 billion more than Elon Musk is worth. That's how rich this guy was. And he had this thing called the Essay on Life, and the number 4 thing was put all your eggs in one basket, you know, and then watch the basket. That's the key part we're talking about right now. If you keep your eye on the basket, then none of the eggs are going to break or fall out.
Yeah.
And then if you're doing it right, there's always somebody that wants to get into the basket.
Yeah.
And so that's just a capacity question. Like if I've got 150 people that I'm getting referred to, can I handle them?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, then I pump the brakes and I don't
Yep.
go after them.
Yeah.
But that brings up a whole nother strategy when we're talking about business building. most of the time businesses flatline is when they run out of capacity. And so one of the things for leaders is to build capacity in advance of demand
Yeah.
as a
Constantly.
strategy for creating demand.
Yeah.
Be one body heavy instead of one body light. Don't fall into the trap of doing too many things that aren't your highest and best use, or your superpower, your genius zone. And nobody gets paid. Nobody in this world gets a paycheck for how busy they are.
Yeah.
They get a paycheck for how productive they are.
What they produce.
And that's
yeah.
the message there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously talking about the one basket thing. So you are a big believer in tunnel focus and just expand that. Like, how do you go about? Because I'm a little bit the same in regards to, I know I'm going to do this for the rest of my life in some shape or form. Do you think most people that just don't have that, they have that like clarity, that purpose, that passion? Because your business probably, what you do is look differently over the years, but it's the same.
I don't think it is.
No.
I mean, the same thing I did as a brand new broker is the same thing I'm doing today. I'll give you an example. So one of the questions that our board asked a couple of weeks ago is, how do we expedite the introduction to more clients that can use Fuel and get their teams on it? So the discussion then went into, well, we have 65 instructors. They're all keynote speakers. They all have clients that hire them to speak. Why don't we just go to the 65 instructors and have them refer us to 5 of their clients and then call the decision maker at that client using our instructor's name and see if we can't set an appointment?
Yeah.
So how does that manifest itself when those 65 instructors came from 2 people? Well, you just continue the same thing. So we're I don't know, maybe 2 weeks away from signing a contract with a company that has 75,000 employees. That all it was is the same thing we're talking about right now. I said, let's go to our instructors, let's figure out what clients they know,
Yeah.
and let's use their name to get in the door. And here we are.
It's so smart. Like we have a network and community of so many business owners and entrepreneurs, and it's really just now hit me. I'm like, what are we doing?
We're at a dealership in Melbourne. I won't mention the dealership name or the city it's in because I don't want to do that. But we were talking the other day, and probably the average price of the car on the showroom floor without government taxes is $450,000. So I'm talking with 8 salespeople the other day, and then I talked with the GM, and he said, what can we do to just build deeper relationships with our clients? And I go, are they all business people? And he goes, most people that can afford these cars own businesses.
Business people, yeah.
And I go, so why don't we just do a client appreciation party? Why don't you have me come by? Why don't you invite the top 100 of your business owners to the dealership? Let's have a little party. We get a sponsor if we need it. You probably don't need a sponsor. But let me talk about life, love, liberty, happiness, and all those kinds of things. And he goes, that is a great idea. What am I thinking, Simon? I'm thinking, I got a dealership that has expensive cars that are
Trusted.
purchased by
Yeah.
by individuals that have a lot of money, that probably run businesses, and now I'm just going to step in and stand in that gap and
Collaborate.
say, hey, you guys talk about doing events all the time. Let's do something for business owners to help them be better business owners. Now, my goal is to help add value to the people that buy the brand. My second motivation is to install Fuel as a program that could help their 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people become a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
No matter what city I'm in,
Yeah.
doing the same thing.
Yeah.
People know the people you need to know.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Oh my God, it's such a like.
People know the people you need to know. So the only question you have to ask every day is, who do I know? Who knows who I need to know? So I know a GM of a high-end car dealership in
we
in
go.
Melbourne.
Exactly.
That he knows everybody.
I
need
got
to
a
know.
big client base. Yeah.
Yeah, if you sell 500 cars or 1,000 cars, or you have 10,000 customers that have bought that brand, no matter when they bought it, and they're still customers, let's go.
So powerful. What's the Earl Nightingale quote? Like, look for the opportunities right in front of you instead of the distance. You heard that one?
It's 95% of the opportunities for you are in front of your own face right now, and that's like.
Why do you think we don't grab those opportunities? Because I
I don't
always
know.
question
We
myself, like
have
fear,
mastered the art of
excuses,
making things
procrastination.
hard.
Oh my
We
God.
have mastered the art of making things hard. I don't know. I think one of the reasons why people don't feel as like just excited and confident in what we're talking about is they haven't created a high trust relationship yet. They don't feel they have the right to maybe have that conversation because they haven't done in their own mind the kind of job that would earn that. So, and then they fear failure. And I've just, if I take care of you, here's something I learned early. If I take care of my clients will take care of me.
Such a
So all you need to do is do a really great job for one person, and that one person will get you just another one.
Yeah.
And your example of how many homes you're going to buy, that's irrelevant to the loyalty thing, even though you want every one of those. What's relevant to the loyalty thing is, if I'm in touch with you, how many people do you know in 20 years that need a home? I have a friend of mine that did a loan for the guy that founded CDW, which 25 years ago was Computer Discount Warehouse. And they had a little shop in Chicago. They had 10 employees, and he said, any of your employees that I can help, just want you to know I'll help them. Within about 10 years, there were 6,000 employees in Chicago that worked for CDW. In their main manufacturing and office plant, they had 7 cafeterias. Every cafeteria had a red phone on the wall that was called the Home Loan Hotline. And all you had to do as an employee is walk in the cafeteria, pick up the phone, you would automatically be dialed to the mortgage broker, and you would have 3 buttons you could push, and then here's the response team. So he's got one physical building with thousands of people, and I think he told me at one time he was doing about 600 loans a year.
Wow.
Just from people picking up the hotline and saying, I'm ready to buy a house. Where do I go? Boom, boom, boom. Push the button, leave a message, and we'll call you back.
Yeah.
It's right in front of you.
Outside
it's
the
right
box,
in front of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. The other thing on that story is, whatever might be small right now could be big in a decade in relationships. I mean, you work with, like you're 32. When you're 42, I wonder what the power empire is going to look like. And if I'm brand new to you, which we've only had this our second live conversation. If I'm brand new to you, what am I thinking? I'm thinking, I want to help Simon. Simon is going to help me. We're going to do something that's important to the overall health and wellness of people on the planet. So in 42, 10 years from now, I wonder how much influence you will have around the globe. So I'm thinking right now, what do I do when you're 32, so that when you're 42, we've just
scaled along together.
So
yeah, on that note, obviously Fuel is the new project you're in right now. Personal development has been lifelong interest of yours. Walk us through Fuel, what it is, and why you believe education, personal development is really what people and businesses need.
Well, I think the first thing is, I would always tell people in life to be curious and to look at the gift of anything that may not feel like it's a gift in the moment. And for us, it was during COVID that we were doing a live event in October. COVID was kind of brought mainstream in February. And I'm thinking, what are we going to do? Because I don't know that there's any guarantee that people are going to come to our live event, or even if they'll be allowed to. And so I told my team, I said, if there's a year to pivot to live stream, this is the year to pivot. It was just that easy. It was like, we're not going to even count on people being able to fly. And so we found a really great studio in Atlanta. They had all the digital equipment. They had 5 different virtual stages. And I said, we're going to start marketing just like we always do. But instead of having you come to a venue, we're going to have you log in. So the event comes, and the second day of the event, my CTO comes up to me and he says, hey, I just want to let you know that right now, there are 44,000 devices connected to the event in 13 countries.
Wow.
We never had more than 3,000 people live in the event. And right then and there, Simon, I knew that COVID was a gift. If 44,000 people are coming to our event, then I'm going to create a technology company that brings personal development and growth in a Netflix-style, binge-worthy type of technology. I'm going to embed AI in it so that you can have interaction and ongoing coaching with AI bots and models representing our instructors. And we're going to make it micro-learning so that you could learn something in 3 minutes that could change your life. We're going to bring instructors in that have a heart to share, that have best-selling books around the world, that love the idea they get to be part of the Fuel movement. And that was the vision. And we launched last July. I think we're north of 40,000 monthly users right now. The funnel has another 2.5 million potential users in the sales funnel right now. And it's as easy to use as Netflix. And if you want to be your best version of you in any genre in life, maybe it's physical, maybe they watch a course by you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's financial. Maybe they watch a course by a financial expert that can help them grow their wealth. And maybe it's real estate. Maybe it's parenting. Maybe it's, and all these things are happening now where we have 21 genres. You can learn leadership, you can learn entrepreneurism, you can learn transformation, whatever you want, meditation, live shows. And so it was just, but my point to that whole story is observation. Like, why would I go back 12 months after having 44,000 devices connected?
It's a new reality
and
now.
go back to 3,000 people. And that doesn't mean we'll never do a live event again, but that was the gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's we're already in 53 countries, and it's going to be a global phenom. And
Powerful. Yeah.
some of the biggest companies in the world signing on.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, we'll put the link down below so people can really check it out.
Myfuel.io.
Yeah.
Easy.
Boom. What are the kind of like, I want to wrap up around that, and it's a classic question. What would you say if you had to boil it down to the most simple 3 steps? What's the reason for why you're successful today? What are the key 3 pillars that you really would lean into?
One is resilience. The idea that grit matters. And my belief is never give up on a dream. The dream is not the problem. The strategy is the problem. But to be resilient in anything you do allows you to rise above about 95% of your competition.
Yeah.
So be resilient, number one. Be focused, number 2. Early on, I was told focus precedes success. And I believe that heart and soul. I believe that we are too spread out, we're spread too thin. One of the analogies I received early on was that if you took a light in a house, 75-watt light, and you channeled that into a laser beam the size of a human hair, that same energy that doesn't hurt you in your home would cut through 6 inches of steel or wipe out a cancer. So I've always told people that focus is absolutely one of the top 2 or 3 things that you have to have in your life. Nobody has ever achieved greatness without focus. That same idea goes into sales focus. Like, don't be average at 10 different things. Be really good at one thing that generates the most impact and the most revenue. So number 1 and 2 are resilience and focus. And then number 3 is purpose. And purpose, it's not number 3 because it's least important. It's number 3 because until you get the first 2, you can't live out your purpose.
Yeah.
But the reason I started this technology company is not because I had a new purpose. The reason I started is because my purpose has always been, no matter where I go, whenever I go, my goal is transformation.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's 1 or 101 or whatever. And so now I'm thinking, shoot, if I could transform 1 billion people's lives because I have a technology program that's got 100 fluent languages, and you can learn in your own language, and you don't have to get on a plane and go anywhere, and we can make it cost effective, like $1 a month or $2 a month.
Yeah.
It's just like, why wouldn't you want to do that? And so my motive in bringing this on was transformation. And now to be able to transform the world, I mean, I loved flying to Sydney. I loved a 14.5-hour flight. I loved traveling 8,500 miles. But I could also get to Australia from Laguna Beach, California.
Exactly, yeah. You want a bit of both.
Yeah, and that would be a very, very good point, because technology should never replace relationship.
No.
It should just amplify it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So that's Fuel, and people can hang out on and go see it, do a trial. If you're an executive and you have a team, no matter whether it's a team of 10 or a team of 10,000 or 100,000, it doesn't matter. This is the easiest thing to do. We can onboard 100,000 people in 5 minutes. It's all technology. All we need is email addresses and one contract, and it's super cost effective. And within 48 hours of you saying yes, your whole team has access to learning, growing, and becoming the best version of themselves. And so our goal for companies is, let us come alongside you, be your partner to help produce happier, healthier, and more productive people.
Love it.
Happier, healthier, and more productive people.
Where do we send people to Fuel? Or
just go myfuel.io.
Yeah, fuel.io.
And when you're there, if you're an executive, you just go organization, if you're a single user, just go personal.
Go there and try it
We'll
out.
take you from there.
Are you an instructor in there as well?
I am.
You are?
I've got 4 courses. But you know, the coolest thing is there's almost 600 lessons right now. And this is not about, you know, my whole career has been about, let me write books, let me build my brand,
Yeah.
let me make a difference. And now it's like, I want 100 instructors by the end of this year, and I want 200 instructors by the end of next year. And by 2028, I want 500 instructors.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're opening our studio, our first global studio here in Australia, which will be fun. And
It's
but
exciting.
to wake
man.
up every day and
Yeah.
to see in our metadata, to see the 5 stars, thanks for changing my life. And this lesson did everything for me. We had one gal that came in and she watched 22 lessons the first day. And she actually said on video, it took me from being depressed to being happy in one day.
Yeah.
So,
It's powerful, my friend. Todd, I appreciate you
Simon,
again.
thank you very
so
much. Appreciate you.
it.
Can't wait to see the impact you make too, and glad I get to be on the ride with you.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend.